Hello subscribers, welcome to a live stream of Wizardry 8. We're doing something a little different tonight. We're going to be doing kind of a tutorial on Wizardry 8 for beginners. And I've had quite a few people lately actually request some information on how to play the game, like if you've never played it, but maybe you have some RPG experience, that kind of thing. So this first session tonight's just going to be creating a party. What I would recommend to someone who's never played Wizardry 8, or even if you're just a beginner and you're having difficulty with playing it. And I'm going to compare and contrast this with some other RPGs, like traditional, typical ones, and give my advice that I've experienced over the years with how those RPGs work versus this game, because this one's quite a bit different how you have to play it compared to other RPGs. So all that being said, if anybody ever has any questions, please ask them, because otherwise it may be a boring stream for some people. But there's so many different ways to play this game. What I'm going to tell you is my opinions. That doesn't mean it's the best. It doesn't mean others are going to always agree with me that are experts. They may have a totally different play style. But this is personally what I wish people would have told me the first time I played, if I wanted to make things easier on myself. So that's what this is geared toward. So the first thing we're going to create is a fighter. You can see there's just tons of classes to choose from. Fighter in Wizardry 8 is very solid. In Wizardry 6 and 7, fighters are pretty awful. They have some bugs associated with them where they take double damage. They're just not good. But in Wizardry 8, they overdid them. They made them a little too strong. So that's why we're going to pick it, because it's going to make your life a lot easier as a beginner. Ultimate tank. So now the class is honestly the most important thing. The race is definitely secondary. It does matter, but class is more important. So this doesn't matter quite as much, and there's all kinds of options. Like I said, there's all kinds of ways you can play this. So you may want to go one route and do something a little different, but I'm just going to give you what I would do, and then you can run with it if you want. So I'm going to make a Draken fighter. One of the reasons is Drakens can breathe acid. So if you get in a bind and you get stuck and you're fighting a bunch of enemies, this will make your life a lot easier, especially early on, because the first area is generally the hardest for new players. We're also going to make her female, because in the game you'll find stamina regeneration items, and the majority of them are for female only. So that's very important. Drakens will end up using up a lot of stamina if you decide to breathe with them. Now, there's all kinds of attributes in this game. Some attributes have direct impact on something at a moment in time. Like strength can give you a damage bonus at that moment in time when you hit with a weapon. Other aspects of the attributes are for long-term progression. Certain attributes affect how rapidly certain skills will increase. So long term, it makes a big difference with your attribute selection for skills, like weapon skills, artifact type skills, and those types of things. So you kind of have to think, okay, what am I going to do with this character? What's their role going to be long term? So generally for fighters, I would recommend just straight dexterity and strength being the first two you're going to pick from. And again, this is for beginners, just keep that in mind. We're also going to be making him the tank, so I'm going to dump a bunch of points into vitality. Now, the other cool thing about attributes is once you get them to 100, you unlock certain skills that will further the character that you can't normally get. So these 3 attributes have pretty good skills. Dexterity, believe it or not, will end up unlocking one that will make it harder for you to be hit. Strength is going to unlock one that makes it easier for you to hit and penetrate monsters. And vitality, you'll get one that reduces damage, making you even tankier. So those are really good for fighters. We're already at 22 hit points. Down here, you'll notice there's resistance modifiers. As you get more experienced in the game, you'll start to realize these are more important. But for beginners, you don't have to be concerned about that, especially if you're playing on easy, which is probably what you want to do the first time you play. You won't want to do expert, you'll just want to do easy. It'll make your experience better. I'm not saying you can't beat it on normal, but your experience will be better if you put it on easy. All right, so we got our first character. Now, there's all kinds of ways you can go. We're going to go with sword here because there's more swords in the vanilla version for most classes than there are other items. If you right click, you can see it says the controlling attributes are strength and dexterity. That's what I was talking about earlier. When you have high strength, high dexterity, it's going to make this go up faster over time. Now, you can power train and do things like that to increase these without going through just the normal progression of the game. But your experience is going to be a lot better if you focus on strength and dexterity for your fighters. So that'll go up pretty quickly on its own. Shield is kind of iffy for me. If you're a beginner player, it's probably decent to put points in shield. I don't think it's going to hurt you, especially once you get a good shield later on. And if you're making this your exclusive tank, there'll be times where we're going to have the fighter be the only person taking hits, the only tank. Other times, the other class I'm going to be creating, the other character might be up front. And we'll swap those in and out over time. But for now, we're going to assume we're going to have the fighter be a tank. So we're going to give him shield. Now, normally when I play, I would also put some points into artifacts and possibly throwing in sling, but we're not going to do that here since this is for beginners. We're going to put all of our points into close combat like this. Close combat uses senses and intelligence, and Drakens are really bad at that. So it's going to go up slowly. The interesting thing about fighters is they get a 25% bonus on top of it. So as this gets higher, the fighter's bonus to close combat will increase on it. But this is as high as we can make it go in the beginning. So this is what we're going to focus on. All right, so now we get to pick a picture and a name, of course. I'm going to keep this simple. We're going to say fighter just to make it easy for people to associate.
Let's get moving then.
We'll just go with the default here. You can change these to anything you want, but we're not going to waste time on that. Okay, next. We're creating another tanky character that's going to be swapped in and out the front. And the reason why I'm picking this is because they can scout for items while you run. You don't have to turn on the search command. So we're going with a ranger. Now, this is kind of debatable on what we're going to choose here. I think I'm probably going to go with an elf, but let me double check this. Hobbit may not be a bad choice either. I like the speed and senses boost here. But when we look at the Hobbit, they have 30 points. And they actually even have more speed. We're not going to worry about spells with the Ranger at all. That's more of an advanced thing. So Piety doesn't matter that much. Piety does impact your stamina, but this is all trade-offs. You have to draw a line somewhere and decide where you're going to put your points. So Hobbit Ranger, we're going to dump into Dexterity, Senses, and again, since this is kind of going to be a tank, I'm probably going to put into Strength here. The more you have characters that are high in Strength, the more objects you're going to be able to pick up and carry around without penalty on your armor class and stamina and that kind of stuff. It'll increase our chance to hit. And believe it or not, even with bows, you still get a strength bonus. It's not as much, but you still get it. And so that's what we're going to go with. We'll go ahead and make a male just so we have at least one male here. 13 hit points is decent. It's not great, but let me show you what would happen if we do Vitality here. It would only go up by 1 in the beginning. So later on, that would become more important, but that's just not good for starting players. Okay. Now, normally you use a bow a lot, and we are going to do that, but we're also going to focus on an extended range weapon for the Ranger for the times where we pull him back into the middle of the party and not being the exclusive tank. So we're probably also going to give him the ability to use some artifacts. So the reason is because you're going to find items later on like amulets of healing and things that are really important to use, and you need at least a couple characters that can do that. The Ranger is kind of a jack of all trades in a way, so it's good to give that to him. We're not going to worry about shield. We're not going to worry about bow. That's going to go up. We'll get it to 10 here just so we get that extra little bonus here. But they do get critical hits on their ranged combat. That's affected by senses and intelligence. Intelligence decent, senses are good, is going to be really good over time. So that'll go up pretty well on its own. So we're going to put some points into throwing, even though we're probably not going to use a sling. This will allow us to use some powders and things that might save your butt later on. So we're going to do that. You always have to consider that when you play this game. You got to have crowd control and things that can save you. Now, you can reload the game. You're not going to be doing Iron Man the first run. But it'll just go more smoothly if you can get used to kind of disabling monsters and that kind of thing. And then we have 4 points left here. So I think what I'm going to do is we'll put 1 in staff, 1 in polearm, 1 in sword, and 1 in close combat. I haven't been able to prove this for sure, but I feel like if you have at least 1 point in a skill, it does go up quicker, that first increase. Otherwise, it seems to take ages before you get that 1 point. So we'll do that based on what we have. And it's not going to make much of a difference if we put 4 points into 1 skill there. So Ranger, it doesn't matter. We'll just go with this picture here. Ranger. Let's see.
Is it something you need?
We'll give him that funny accent. Okay, so that's going to be our 2 tanks. Again, Fighter is going to be the exclusive tank sometimes. Other times the Ranger will step up. In Wizardry 8, you can actually do that in battle, which I'll show later. You can dynamically change where the party members are positioned. It is not determined based on how you add them to the party, like it is in Wizardry 6 and 7 in most RPGs. The order in which they appear here has nothing to do with their position in combat. So it does determine when they go if you do a walk or run command, but that's it, and I'll talk about that later too. Okay. So, the next character we're going to have is a heavy damage dealer that will do damage, consistent damage over time, and will probably have the most kills in the game, and that's going to be a ninja. We're going to double check and see which race I want here. May end up being Hobbit again. Felpers have mental resistance, which is really nice, but this minus 15 water is a little scary. Paralysis is water resistance. So if he has really low, he's going to be getting paralyzed left and right. And of course, cold effects also, and acid are all water. Again, strength and dexterity are going to be good, but senses will also be pretty important. Yeah, we will go ahead and go with the Felper. This minus 15 here can be offset, and we're going to have all kinds of ways to cure paralysis and help boost that. There are items you can find later on, like cloaks and things, that can increase water resistance, like an oil, skin, robe, and those types of things. We'll make sure to focus those on the Felper to offset it. So we got 20 points. Speed's good. The only weapons that speed increases instead of strength are daggers. That's kind of hard to pull off in the first time you play, so I wouldn't recommend doing that. So we're still going to stick with strength, dexterity, and then we're going to do senses. The reason for senses is that will increase our critical hit chance over time. And if you play it on easy or normal, you're going to be getting a lot more criticals. Once you go to expert, the ability to get critical hits drops rapidly. So this will be a real good experience for you if you focus on senses on the ninja in the beginning. And we'll go ahead and do a female again. So critical strike is the thing that determines your critical hit boost. And you can see ninjas get a bonus with it as it gets higher. Late game, ninjas will be doing critical hits very often, especially on easy or normal, even with throwing weapons. One of the awesome things about ninjas is they can critical hit with thrown. So you can see senses and speed affect this. Hey, Kid Icarus, welcome to the stream. How are you doing? He says, is the fairy ninja thing a bad build for that one rare weapon they can use, or is it viable aside from that? Never made a ninja. For beginners, I would say no, you do not want a fairy ninja. If you become more experienced in the game, then yes, it can definitely be viable. It's pretty much a guaranteed drop in Wizardry 8. Once you know where to get it, it's guaranteed. It is a cursed item, however, so when you equip that, you're not going to be able to throw anymore. And ninjas, not only do they do critical hits, but they have a special skill called auto penetrate. This skill here is one of the most underestimated things in the game. This is one of the most powerful innate skills that any class has. Now, thrown weapons generally don't do much damage. However, there's many enemies you're going to end up fighting that it's going to be really hard to penetrate their armor, or you're going to miss all the time because they have high dodge. With auto penetrate, as long as your party is in close range, you will not miss with the ninja. you will hit, even if they have like 30 armor class on evasion. The way throwing stuff and range things work in this game, you're going to hit, you're going to penetrate, you're going to do damage. So consistently over time, you will get a ton of damage in with that ability. So equipping the Cane of Corpus, you lose that. And it's a great item, but it is cursed and you'll lose that ability and you'll lose some options. So it's a trade-off. In the game, locks and traps are an issue if you're playing Iron Man. If you're not playing Iron Man, you can just reload the game if you set off a trap. So you don't really need to focus much on that. Sure, yeah. My pleasure, Kid Icarus. Any questions anybody has, just please ask. And again, it's all my opinion. Other experts will give you their opinions, which may be much different than mine. So stealth's an excellent skill. This will make it where your evasion armor class gets really high, and it even makes it sometimes where monsters won't see the character to attack them. Downside to this is it means the monster's going to attack somebody else. So if you have them up front, which you can do, and you have another character up front, that other character is going to be getting hit a lot late game. If you have them in the middle, then throwing weapons, ranged weapons, and things that would have targeted the ninja will start hitting the others more often. So it'll hit your casters, for example, or anybody else. So it's good and bad, but the armor class boost is great anyway, and that's a fantastic skill. It will go up over time, but it goes up slowly unless you do what's called power training on it. But we don't, since we're not going to have the ninja up front, we're not going to worry about that. We're going to focus on throwing, staff and wand, and ranged combat this first time. We'll get him like a bow staff or something eventually, and he'll be hitting with that. Later on, we may transition him to swords if it comes up. And when you play on easy, even mace and flail can be good. You can get nunchucks and knock out enemies pretty often. Once you get to playing on expert, then it doesn't really work. The monster's resistance is just too high. But this is what we'll go with in the beginning. And we're just gonna say ninja. Hey Grunk, welcome to the stream. How are you doing? Why not start with Wizardry 1? Because no one has asked me about Wizardry 1. Oh, this isn't Grunk, this is Game Junk. Game Junkie. Welcome to the stream, Game Junkie. Wizardry 8 is by far the most popular wizardry out of the first 8, so. Okay, we'll go ahead and go with this voice.
Release your hold on this world.
Alright. Next, we're going to do a bard. Bards are excellent characters in the beginning. Makes your lives a lot easier with lots of sleeps and things of that nature. We're probably going to do an elf. Let me double check. Hobbits are good also. Mook's piety is really low, which does impact our stamina, but stamina is kind of percentage based with instruments. The speed's kind of low, which if you need a clutch heal, that may be important. I'm gonna go with an elf here. Let me look at the strength again real quick. 50 vitality, 35 vitality, speed 35, speed 45. I'm actually going to pick a mook here. All right, so intelligence, based on what I have seen by playing this game so much, intelligence does impact your chance to successfully penetrate and cast the bard songs out of the instruments. So we're boosting that. We'll do dexterity. And most likely he'll be using an extended range or a sling or a bow. So we're probably going to do strength again. He's going to be carrying lots of instruments, which is heavy. Early Wizardry inspired game on the DS called The Dark Spire. Hard is an understatement. Hey Penguin, welcome to stream. How are you doing? Haven't people tested enough that Powercast doesn't affect instruments? No, it doesn't appear to affect instruments, but the bard, the intelligence impacts how fast your music goes up, which is really important. But yeah, Powercast does not seem to impact instruments, their effects. Yeah, game junkie, if you're not into Wizardry 8, just leave the stream and go watch someone stream Wizardry 1. This is a tutorial on Wizardry 8. Okay, so there we go, female, and we're gonna do music. We're probably gonna have the bard do locks and traps, because we need one person. And artifacts, I mean, it's kind of not super useful for bards because they're going to have the instruments early on. It will be, and for identifying, I think what I'll do is I'll put 1 point here and we'll put the rest in artifacts. Okay, and this is female, I believe. Yeah, bard.
Sure, darling. Just leave it in my hands.
That does not go at all with that. Let's see, cunning. Let's see about chaotic. No, I don't want to do chaotic.
One may feel fear in the...
That one's okay. Yeah, let's do this one. Okay, next. We are doing a priest. Let's double check which race we're gonna pick here. We want piety and intelligence. We don't want them super slow either. Definitely not lizard man, not dragon. So raw wolves are great. The problem, their intelligence is terrible. We have 50 points, but I think the highest we're going to be able to dump into this is the 47. Intelligence does impact the magic realm rate, which those go up. Doesn't impact the divine school. That's what piety does that. However, it's still very important, especially to get power cast later on. I might go with elf again here. Let me look. Gnome's good. I just don't like the speed. We're gonna go with elf. So piety to 70, intelligence to 60, and then dump the rest into speed. They're female, again, because of stamina related items. I've played Wizardry's 4 through 8 game junkie, and I've completed those. I've not touched 1 through 3 yet, but 1, from what I've seen, is a lot like 5. 5 actually added mechanics to it. Kid Icarus says Wizardry 8 was my introduction to this series, so it's hard to go back to the earlier ones. Yeah, they're just so primitive compared to 6 through 8, so that's why I generally don't go back to them either. You love having a mook on the front lines. Okay, so we definitely need heal. If you're a beginner, you want that. And I'm going to tell you to get, well, yeah, as a beginner, I'm going to tell you to go ahead and get blessed too. Normally I wouldn't do that. I'd get something like stamina, but that's going to be important. So we're going to dump 5 points in divine, 5 points into divinity, and then we're going to start working in water. Okay, we'll just call her priest.
An adventure?
That's fine. And last but not least, we are doing an alchemist. Alchemists can't be silenced. They can also get some healing. They have good armor compared to mages and psionics. They can have really good crowd controls spells. They're one of the best crowd controllers. Their body of stone spell, which we'll get later, will really make that fighter in the front a huge tank. So this is my party that I would pick as beginner. So let's double check. I don't recommend fairies for beginners. It cuts into your carrying capacity too much. Yeah, we're going with elf again. Intelligence, piety, and dexterity. Now for alchemists, dexterity impacts their primary magic skill. But piety is still critical because it increases spell points. And intelligence again for power casts and stuff like that later on. And we'll go ahead and make one more male. So in the beginning, you're going to be using the bard's instrument to do sleep a lot. So we don't need that. Itching skin just decreases the chance of the monsters to hit you when they attack by 25%. That's what it does. It doesn't work all the time, and on easy it probably will, but you probably don't need it. So I would go ahead and go with an attack spell. You can get 2 castings of this before you have to rest, and heal wounds. And then we're going to boost alchemy, water, and divine. Now you'll notice the ninja and the alchemist both have really good throwing just right from the beginning. So that's going to help us with powders and other things we find. I would not go with the mage the first time you play this. Their hit points are too low. They have terrible armor class. They'll be dying a lot. So the alchemist is better for beginners. We already have 8 hit points. Now, I add in order like old school RPGs where you have up front and then you have some toward the back. You don't have to do that. As I mentioned, how you position in combat has nothing to do with the position here. It does impact when you do a run or walk. The way it works is the order of the party starts in the top left, goes left to right, and then down. So if you have an NPC in this position, they're going to go first. If you have an NPC in this position, they'll go second. Then your first character up here will go third, fourth. That's all advanced strategy stuff. You don't really need to worry about that when you play the first time with beginners. So just add it like a typical RPG. Put the fighter up front. We're going to have the next tank up there. And we're gonna have a ninja. We're gonna do the bard, priest, and the alchemist. Should I play it on novice? We'll play it on novice just so that beginners can see the types of things that happen with resistances. But I am going to do Iron Man. But yeah, the first time you play, go ahead and put it on novice so you have better experience. I haven't played novice for like probably 3-4 years. Novice. And it's mainly just to show that resistances and things will work in your favor. Alright. Now the first...
All right. Standing around won't help us get out of this mess. Let's get moving. Maybe we can find some signs of civilization.
Oh, you're playing Wizardry 1 on Super Nintendo? So 29 is the highest you can get on Wizardry 1. Yeah. Moody Mystery, who streams on here, has been playing Wizardry 1. You may want to ask him for some tips if you need some. Penguin says, you rely on scrolls for Missile Shield and Enchanted Blade. You don't need them the first time you play, to be honest. Especially if you played on Novice. But yes, you can get those from scrolls if you want. Those are mage spells, but you certainly don't need Enchanted Blade. Missile Shield is iffy. So here's the layout. Here's how this works. If monsters come up from the front, see this little grid down here, bottom left? It shows you the positions of your party members. You can see how it lines up with this. If a monster is positioned right here within this grid, this little top grid here, and they have close combat only, that's their range, and they can only hit these 3 characters. If they're next to you in close combat and they have extended range, they can hit 2 grids deep. So they'd be able to hit this grid, this one, and this one. If we had someone back here, they could not hit that one if they come from the front. Comes from the side. So let's say over here, a monster comes up, and if this was my layout, in close combat, and they come up here, they would be able to hit everyone in close combat. Because now they're adjacent to the center. If you have this set up, and they come right to here where they're adjacent, close combat, and they have extended attack, they can still hit everyone here. Because 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Now if I move this guy here and they come up from this side, and they have extended, they cannot hit him. Because he's 3 away. This here is super important for a beginner to understand how that works. How to control monsters, their range, how they can get to you, and all that kind of stuff. If the enemy's using a thrown weapon or long range, it can hit anyone, no matter what your layout is here. Now the same is true for you trying to hit them. If I'm back here and they come up from this front, and he has an extended weapon, it's not going to reach. Because it goes 1, 2, and it fails to reach. If these two have extended range, they can reach. This would be 1, 2. Now sometimes what will happen is an enemy will have extended range, but they won't be adjacent. They'll be in extended range. So there's a gap between this first quadrant and them. They will only be able to hit this first quadrant. Because they've already gone through, since they're an extended, there's a buffer there. So they could not reach these. Again, throwing and long just undoes all this. They can hit you no matter where you're at. So for beginners, what I'd recommend, and I generally use this anyway, is keep a tank up front put the kind of mediocre guys in the middle.
Here.
We're going to start with the fighter and ranger up front. That will keep, so he has 22 hit points, he has 13. That'll help keep the damage a little bit distributed. If he ends up getting hurt, you can always bring him back to here to help protect them if you don't have healing ability. So these two can hit with ranged weapons or extended range, but we don't have that right now. These two won't be able to reach unless they have shooting weapons or cast spells. Spells can go, of course, throwing or beyond usually. So once you position, just hit this.
Very well.
Care of.
Now they're taken care of. You can see down here they show up. If the little grids aren't showing up, hit the Z key. You see here it's not showing up. There's a hotkey Z you hit and it'll make them show up. I like to have those on. You just move by the arrow keys. If when you get into the game it doesn't, nothing works, just tap the Alt key. There's a bug. Or sometimes Alt tabbing out doesn't recognize you're in the game. And then you lose keyboard control. So alright, let's open this up, see what we got. So this is an extended range weapon. Ninjas can use it. You can see over here the classes that can use. If you click this, it shows the races that can use. If you're not sure what it is, you can hover over and it'll tell you. There's Valkyrie, Lord. So the ninja can use this. That's good news. We'll give that to him. Or the ranger if we pull him back. Looks like we got a bow, we got a feathered hat. In this game, armor class goes up, which is good for positives. In Wizardry 6 and 7, armor class going down is good. So this does not obey the old Dungeons and Dragons rules. It's the newer type rules. So this gives us +2. Alright, let's just grab this stuff. If you click this, you can select all of them and just say, tell the party to take it. Here's the party inventory. And then we can click over here. So the ninja, we'll put this in his primary slot. You can quickly switch weapons like this, or you can do it by hitting, like I hit 3 to pick him, or you can left click.
You have summoned me.
Here.
But since he's third character, I hit
You
3,
have summoned me.
and then you can hit W, and down here you say it says weapons were swapped. Hit it again, swaps them back. So you can do that in combat too. So we're going to leave that there. The feathered hat, we're going to equip on the ranger. So now a bow, we'll give to the fighter. We're going to take the ranger's 100 arrows, and we're going to click this and split them. Split them in half, and then we can give him some. So now she has 52. It says the Mook's big sword is extended range. Yes, it's a two-handed sword, and only Mooks can use it, and it is extended range. Yes, that's correct. The Mook with the big sword could be in the middle, as long as the enemies are close. If they're in extended range, then you still can't hit them. That is correct. Okay, I don't think anybody has a sling yet, so we found some stones, but we don't have a sling. Oh, actually, yeah, the bard has a sling. So we'll take these bullet stones and just dump them in there. This will probably end up going to the ranger if I start to move him up front. But actually, he is up front, isn't he? I'll turn that back on. Yeah, he is up front. So we're going to steal this from the bard, give it to the ranger, swap like this. So the way it works, since this is close, short range, if the enemy's there, he's going to use this by default. If the enemy is not in close range, then it'll automatically switch to using this, which is cool. It's a nice feature in the game. you probably want to take, if you start with any potions, which you will if you play this party, you'll want to take these healing and distribute them across the front ones. Hold down the shift key, click on it, and it'll take one item off. And then you can do that. It's just a quicker way to do it. Otherwise, you can pick them up and do this split. Okay. So we're going to do that. Now, there's an option here. I'm not going to do this all the time, but you see how they're yellow here on the map? That means they're neutral and they're not going to attack me unless I get too close. If they were red, they'll come after you. They're hostile. So since these are yellow, you can actually start combat before they attack you and do like a sneak attack on them if you want. I'll show you how to do that, but I'm probably not going to consistently do it for this beginner tutorial. So there's a little tilde character on the keyboard. If you hit that, it'll start combat. Otherwise, you can come down here and click this sword. I'm just trying to give you little keyboard hints if you want them. So right now, you see how all these are red? It means we can't reach. If we click, if you hold down the shift key and click on this single enemy, it directs the whole party to doing something. But they're all saying it's too far. So what can we do? We know we have some ranged weapons. So let's pick number 1. If you hit W to swap, see now it shows a little bow there. Means he's going to be using his bow. We'll pick 2, W, swap to the bow. Now let's double check. We know the bard has a sling. We know the ninja has throwing weapons. These two don't. Now, we're so far away that I do not want to waste any of these shurikens. We only have 15 of them. So I'm not going to have the ninja swap. I'll pick 4 for bard and have him swap. Okay. So now if we hold down shift and click, you'll see these turned white. They can actually hit now. And if you look, if you hover over, you see these 3 little triangles? That shows you the color associated with the party member that's targeting that character. So the red is for the fighter. The green is for the ranger, and that teal color is for the bard. That's how you know we've locked in on that. If I click over here, you can see the triangles have locked in on that. If I want to have the fighter do this one, I hit 1, I don't hold down shift.
Okay.
And she's the only one to change her decision. So now we're kind of splitting our attacks. But you don't want to do that. You want to do focus fire. That's a common fighting technique that everyone knows about. You focus all your fire on one, take them out, and then you have one less attacker that can hurt you. So that's what we're going to do. We have it on easy, so we may hit. I don't know. I haven't played novice for ages. On expert, you most likely would not hit with this. So this will be interesting. We'll see what happens. Now, the alchemist, we're going to have cast a spell. So I hit 6. He's selected. I hit M for magic. Or you can come up here and click this little menu. And there's a little spell book. You can click that. You have to pick the realm of the spell you're going to cast. So we want water. We want acid splash. And then you come over here and click the power level. Green means it's almost certainly going to work. It does not mean it's 100%, but it means it's almost certainly going to work. Orange is it's decent chance it could fail, whether that just fizzles and you waste your spell points, or it backfire. It could do that. Red means it's pretty likely you're going to fizzle, and there's a pretty good chance it could backfire. So that one we don't want to do. We're going to do this.
Taken care of.
It's red, which means I haven't chosen a target yet.
Taken care
That same one. You see his little arrow. Priest. Pick 5. We only gave him divine. We're going to do a bless. Now, this spell can't backfire. There's certain spells in the game that can't backfire. They can just fizzle. So, if this failed, oh well. We're going to do yellow, which is better than orange, but not as good as the dark green or the light green.
Very well.
Ninja, we're not going to do anything this round because I do not want to waste their shortcuts. When you're ready, you either hit enter or you can check this down here.
And so it begins.
So we hit one of them. We're hitting the wrong one. If you look, it says hits this crab instead. But hey, we still hit one. So even though it wasn't the one we want, we hit it. If you wanted to have this scroll up, you can click over here on the left and then either use the mouse wheel or the scroll bar. So we can see what happened. The bard shot at that one, but he hits this other crab instead. But no misses. Okay, now the crabs are going to advance because they turned red. They're now hostile. So what I normally do, this will make your life a lot easier. Don't just do your instructions. Do this party move command. First, before you do that though, set up your spells just like I told you. We already did bless. You can see it up here. It's going to last 2 turns. We're not going to do that again. So the priest is probably not going to do anything. We're going to swap weapons on the first 2 because I want to go back to melee. We're going to see if they come that far forward. So if you do the run command first, you can always change your mind on that when they get to you. You can switch it back if they don't quite reach. But we're planning on all doing melee attacks. He's going to throw if possible. He may use his spear. So you can either do a shift R to run, or you can come down here and do it. But we're not actually going to run. All that we're doing is giving them time to do their actions, to give them a chance to move. If the monsters are faster than you, this may not work. They may decide to stay back, and you have to execute your actions, and then they move forward. But that doesn't happen too often. So we're ready. We've got our instructions ready. We're going to hit run. Now, see, we're not doing any fighting yet. They're just moving forward. Now we can move. You can turn and twist like this all day long, and it does not change. This does not go down. You don't lose movement over time. If we were to move any direction, then you're going to see this bar drop. And the farther it drops, the more likely you're going to lose turns on your characters. And I know I'm just giving you so much information here, but don't worry about all that I'm telling you. You're not going to absorb much of it, but you might think of it later. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. So anyway, the higher the speed and senses on your character, the less you can move before they lose their turn. It's actually the opposite of what you would think. You'd think fast characters, they get to do their action no matter what. No. Slow characters get to do their action almost no matter what. So that's why you'll see some experts, they don't like to have high speed because you'll lose your action that round when you do this move command. But there's reasons to have it, so that you can do a clutch heal or something in combat before the enemies get to you. How you doing, Grunk? Welcome to the stream. Red is the hey y'all, watch this of spellcasting. Yeah. Okay. You'll notice the fighter still has his bow equipped. I don't want that. So we're going to do 1 W. Evidently, they're not close enough. So this one's not close enough. Now watch what happens. I'm not pushing anything, I'm just turning. Suddenly he can hit this one. But he can't hit this one. See that? So if we right click, it says what range they're in. That one's in short. This one's short. This one is extended. Swap. Still can't hit facing this direction. This is actually what you have just seen here, I think. Oh, yeah, we have to pick. So if I click on one now, this will become active.
Out of range.
Taken care of.
Did I move the wrong? I moved the wrong one. I have the wrong one up front. That's why he can't reach. So we're going to position the fighter here, but we're losing a turn to do that. I thought this was red. This is the ninja. So for this round, this is how the combat's going to go. Which is not what I wanted. I wanted the fighter up front. I picked the wrong one. But when I do this, the next round, this is going to apply.
Okay.
So we'll say, okay. So we will have to go back to using our bow. We're going to do this. The reason why when I swap this direction, he can suddenly hit is because you see how this one's on the left? That was what I was explaining earlier. When a monster comes up from the side and is close, he can hit all of these. And that also means you can hit him. So that's why he can hit when I'm here, but as soon as you go this direction, he can't. And this one is extended range, so he can't hit anybody right now. So we'll swap back. We'll do this. Check their hit points. This one's only got 2 left. So we'll set our focus on him. This one only has 1. He's going to die next 2. Let's send our acid splash. I picked the alchemist. We're going to send that over here.
Taken care of.
So everybody else is going to shoot this one. And then this one will be probably the next auto target.
How exquisite.
Now, since we're playing on novice, it makes it really easy to hit the enemy. Normally, we'd be having some misses there. Hey, Zeraj, welcome to the stream. How you doing? Can watch the video on demand? All right. Kid Icarus says, I wish there were some kind of Skyblivion project that remade remade 6 and 7 in this engine. So since we have a ranger in our party, you can kind of wander around, and if there's any hidden objects, they'll find it. You don't have to do the search command. Otherwise, you'd have to do this, and there's a chance you're going to get surprised by the enemy. So that's why I pick a ranger for beginners. Now look at our spell points. The priest, the blue lines are spell points. Priest is a little depleted, the alchemist is. So at this point, what I would do here is come in here, put your back to this door. So do this and then back up to it like this, so that if a monster does happen to come down this hall, it is possible. It's only happened to me one time, but it is possible. You'll be facing the front. Before I forget, we need to adjust these because I had these wrong.
You have summoned me?
If you do this during combat, it does not stick after combat. So make sure you do it from this menu.
Okay.
So we're going to rest. We're going to hit C for camp. Once that goes up, I'm just going to click get out of combat or get out of camp, and you can see he's got all the spell points back. Bards are great for starter parties because they actually improve your healing rate. Come over here and look. Improves party camping. They have that special ability. Just one more reason I picked them. Alchemists are also great for starter parties. They can create potions. And if you see down here, the alchemist just created a light heal potion. So it probably went on him, it did. So I'm just going to move that over to the ninja. Okay, so we're not going to go out where we were back there. That's too hard right now. We're going to come into here. Dredge says, I always wondered there's a key you press sometimes to make monsters immobile like bats. So it's easier to click on. Oh, that's the shift key. If you hold down shift. As long as they're not in the middle of moving, it will pause them into position. Okay.
I don't like the looks of this.
Now, generally, you want to go slow around corners. See, there's some bats coming. So back up real quick. We're going to back up, back up. We're going to get our back to the door.
Be on guard. Combat begins.
So now they're going to be forced to come up front. Here. Let's do our run command again. So we're going to do an acid splash.
Taken care of.
We're going to do a bless.
Very well.
Do the
Very
run.
well.
Let them move forward. Now, fighter, I don't want using the bows. Do one. Hit W. Swap. We're going to start using the Bard's instrument. I haven't shown you that yet, but for this battle, we're not going to work it. It's the control key, not shift. Told you the wrong one. On control, you can see it stops them. This bat is 5 hit points. This one has 6, so focus the lower hit point first. There you go. Novice just makes it so much easier.
We win. It was nothing.
Okay, we're gonna camp and get the pre-spell points back. Again, go around corners facing forward slowly. Yeah, sorry, it's control. I told you the wrong one. You can, when you get used to it, you can do what's called a slide shuffle like this, which is great sometimes going around a corner. You know, like if you're having a hard time trying to turn and go like that, what I sometimes will do is just this and pop out. You do the same with your back to a wall. You can slide shuffle like this. See, we got some slimes up here. Let them get a little closer. We're going to try to get a free round. Go into combat, force it, which again, hit that button down there or hit the tilde key. This time we're going to hit U for use. We're going to use the poet loop.
That will be impossible.
It's not going to happen right now because they're out of range. I don't think I can do it from here either. No. So once they get closer, we'll be able to use that. If you have used it previously, you can hit the L command and you can still target. And then when the enemies come forward, you can retarget when they're done moving. But since we haven't done that the last round, we can't do that. So we're going to have to wait. Ninja, probably throw. Alchemist, we're going to do the same deal.
Taken
Acid
care of.
splash. Priest, do a bless.
Very well.
Okay.
Do our run command. Let them get forward. Didn't know there was a way to do that until I saw it on stream. Yeah. Okay, so now if we right click, current range is thrown.
Taken care of.
Target the 8 hit point first. The ninja is going to throw here. That's what that little sling thing is. Okay. Now, another little tip I'll give you, which can make your life easier. You want to cast the same spell again. Like if I want the Alchemist cast Acid Splash, hit 6 for Alchemist and hit L. He's going to do his last action, which was cast Acid Splash. I don't want to do Bless with Priest again, so I'm not going to do that. He's just going to wait. Now that they're closer, we're going to use the Poet Loop. And there's several ways you can target. You either go up here, click the group, you click one visually here, or
Very well.
there's a key you can hit called N.
Very well.
It's next. If there were multiple groups here, you can keep hitting
Very well.
N,
Very well. Very well.
and it'll
Very
toggle
well.
through them
Very
all.
well.
That's how you can hit things that you can't see on the screen by using the N command. But since we can see these, it doesn't matter. So we'll do the run again.
Okay.
Let them come forward so we can hit them with our melee. And then, now again, actions are going to go from left to right down. So it's going to go boom, 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 boom. So the Bard's actually going to put these to sleep after the attacks come in, which is kind of a good thing because they'll miss their next turn. They won't be able to attack their next round if they're asleep and you haven't hit them. They'll lose their actions. So they'll lose their actions this round, and then they'll lose their action next round. Which is why I like to do this kind of stuff. If you have a bard up front, you don't get to do that. You can do buffs before they attack, but you don't get to do the disabling stuff and make monsters miss turns. So in general, I think this strategy is better than putting the casters, you know, higher up in the ranks here. So this one might wake one up. The acid splash, we'll see. Or they'll be dead and it won't matter. Sleep didn't work on them.
Delightful.
They got killed by the acid splash. So rinse and repeat. Just go back and rest. Don't go forward without the spell points. It's too dangerous. Now, if your save's coming, you know, you could get away with it, but I would just try to act like you're doing an Iron Man run. Do your best. Try and act like you're not going to reload. That's how you learn the most. And if you do have to reload, just reload. But just act like you're doing your best. Don't just try to cheat the whole time.
Like the jackal, the enemy slinks upon us.
So when someone says something like that, it means that they've spotted an enemy somewhere. I think it was this guy up here he saw. There's a hidden slime back here. And so that's why she said that. So if you ever don't see something down here on the mini-map, but you hear that, be a little wary that there might be something ready to bite you. Hey there, Scarlet Dragon. Welcome to the stream. How are you? In harder difficulties, you can put them first so you can hit the enemies. Yeah, if you're doing buffs type things, that's correct. Drudge says if you hit move before ending your turn, just to see if enemies act before you once the rounds start, but you cancel the move, do you lose some initiative compared to if I didn't hit move? Oh, you mean if you press the move command. Okay, I thought you meant hit and move. You mean if you accidentally hit the move command. Yeah, if you hit move and you don't actually move, you're not going to lose any initiative or... well, you lose your initiative because it changes the order, but you won't lose your turns if you do that. Okay, let's go up here first. Let's get our back to a wall. That's one of the most important things as a beginner. Keep your back to a wall. Saw red here on the mini map. Come over here. Now, here's a trick you can do. So I started combat.
Taken care of.
If you do the run command, you can peek around the corner like this, and as long as you don't use up all this movement, you can back off. See how it's red down here? Since it's red, he can see me, and he will attack. But if I back off, see how it turned white? It's now blocked behind here. He will not attack me right away. So you can use that to see what in the world you're going to be facing. So we see there's just one slime. Going to end combat. Combat doesn't start. We're going to wait for him to get a little closer. You can even hear him. I did it again. So now if we want to do a surprise attack, we can do that run command again.
It will be done.
We may lose some turns, we may not. What we're going to do is come up like this. The slower we are, the less turns we're going to lose here. Just keep clicking until you get some white action showing. So in theory, these four guys will go this round unless some of them were too quick. Then they'll lose their turn. Nobody was too quick. Everybody was slow. So we got our turns, and it didn't have a chance. So that's very helpful as beginners, doing that kind of thing. Just keep hugging the walls. You go around a corner like that, especially if it's a two-way corner. Do more of the shuffle slide, that'll help you out. Okay, we have a ranger, so we have search on all the time, so we're just going to walk around these crates. You see we just got artifact boost, so that's cool. We don't have a crossbow for those yet.
Things for me.
Sneeze powder. We can, if you look, it tells you what skill it uses, so that's the throwing and sling skill. The lower the power level and the lower the spell, the lower the level of the spell, the more likely you can succeed. So if it's a power 3 is right kind of in the middle, so, and this is a level 1 spell, so this should be pretty darn easy to throw. Throwing of 10 is probably good enough. Even 5 will work sometimes. So if we give this to, let's say, the alchemist, he should not fail to throw that. So we'll just do that for now. You have to be really careful with some items because they will backfire if you don't have enough skill, and that can kill you.
Things for me.
Got some more arrows, nice. Take these extras and give them to the fighter. There's something else I want to mention here real quick. So these numbers here on the body parts, that's anti-penetration armor class. Higher's better, and you have to subtract this base armor class from that. So this base armor class you can think of as your evasion armor class. It's your chance to avoid a hit and have a miss. That armor class works on the entire body, so all these body parts, which is why you see his head as one, even though he does not wear anything. But evasion armor class sucks compared to the anti-penetration armor class. If you get paralyzed, blinded, held, attacked from behind, any of that stuff, this evasion armor class has a huge penalty. It basically becomes useless. So you could be the fastest ninja with minus 20 evasion armor class. You're blinded, it's useless, it goes away. So you want to have better armor. This is by far superior. If you get hit while you're paralyzed, this 5 on this leather cuirass will apply if you happen to get hit on the chest. So that's just a tip. Always try to focus on this. Shields are evasion armor class. Anything that affects your whole body is evasion. It is not anti-penetration, which makes sense. I mean, if you have a shield and you get paralyzed, you can't hold your arm up to block, so it's useless. Same with like if you get a cape here. The cape is like a magical effect, so it's not anti-penetration. That's evasion. You get paralyzed, it's useless. So focus on the body part armor class, if possible. Okay, we got some more slimes coming. Let's see what it is. Level 1, 5 hit points. That's good. It's easy. Kinoko says, I feel like the real test for my party happened when I countered all those plants along the road first town. Yeah. Arnica Road it kills most new players. And the main reason is because you can't get your back to a wall easily. And there's no choke points. So they will end up attacking you from the side, from all sides. Your vulnerable characters back here become hit. I mean, it's just, that's the biggest reason why people die there. There's no good place to fight. Here you can have choke points, like if there's 5 enemies, you can fight within this doorway, and that only one can come in at a time. So it's a lot trickier. George says, does that make two-handed or two weapons always better than using a shield? No, it doesn't. The evasion armor class will apply as long as you don't get blinded in that. In Wizardry 6 and 7, shields are terrible, so it's always better to use either a two-handed weapon or dual wield. Dual wielding in Wizardry 8 got severely nerfed. As a beginner, you never want to do it. Except for throwing on ninja, that's fine. Throw dual shurikens all day long, that's fine. Besides that, don't do dual wielding. You're better off with a shield, or yeah, two-handed weapon.
Taken care of.
Bless. So like sometimes, like in this case, we don't need a bless, but we're still doing it because you can get training and a skill may go up.
Very
So
well.
you still want to do it.
Taken care of.
So that's what we're gonna do. He's gonna be dead. So we still got training there.
Ah, how exquisite.
Even if it doesn't tell you anything went up, which it didn't, the more times you do that, you're bound to get a skill increase. So you just want to do it. Let's check this mini map here. I hit tab key to go in there. That's where we're at. So I want to go up this hall. There's some hidden item here. So I don't have the light spell on, and I'm sitting back so I couldn't see these bats. But normally you want to have your monitor not super dark so you can see things. Let's take a look and see what we're dealing with. Easy, level 1s. We'll do one more bless.
Very well.
Your acid splash.
Taken care of.
Let's start doing some training on the bard's loot. We
Very well.
need him to get better music.
Taken
Okay,
care
done.
of. See how it's done?
It didn't work.
Wizardry.
But acid splash did.
We did it! Here.
So if I go into inventory, we can see the fighter's already halfway to the next level. One more reason why fighters are just so imbalanced. Bard's next. Then the casters. Ninja takes forever, but there's a reason. Best class in the game.
I find these.
Okay, so there's the item. It's these sticks. So our artifacts is too low. That's why we can't identify it. The person with the highest artifact is the one that can identify items. So this is without the reach of that party member. So we don't want to try to use these or anything. We're going to pick them up and carry them for later. If we had the identify spell, we could cast it, but we don't have that yet. Let's look around, see if we see anything. Now, I'm going to try to rest here. Generally, as a beginner, you want to go back to like that door, somewhere where you know it's safe. I'm just going to do this since I'm trying to save some time for the stream. 3 light heals. Let's get these distributed. Ah, she already has some. Nice. Okay, we'll leave those on him. Let's take a look at the mini-map. So, right there. Normally you want to kind of walk around and explore all that. If you hold down shift while you move, you run. See how I'm moving faster? You just want to be careful with that you don't run around corners that way. Okay, I don't see any more enemies there. We're not going this direction yet because there's a slime over there that's... We want to be at least level 2. So we're going to go around this way. Let's get her back to a wall. So he's in there. We're going to avoid that. Do that later. Okay. If you see an item, if you notice what I didn't stand facing this way. I turned this way just to, so it's barely on view. The reason why I do that is because this game's real time and the monsters are always moving. And so they can come up from behind and surprise you and you'll be in trouble. So try to position so that you're safe when you go to pick it up. Hey there, Colorado man. Welcome to the stream. How are you doing? Thanks for the follow. So, feather darts. We're going to save those for the ninja. In fact, we're going to do this. Let's move here real quick. You move forward towards some. Generally, try to keep moving until you get your back to a wall.
Things for me.
You always want to have your back to a wall. Now, we got another bow. If we put this over here in the party inventory, we can quickly switch through the characters and see who can use it. Red means you can't. So we can see the bard can use it. Ranger, fighter, even the ninja. Bard is a sling. However, since he's in the middle, eventually he'll run out of bullet stones. And we could potentially give him some arrows from these two. So we'll go ahead and equip that there. Okay, I don't see anything else in there. Are there random encounters that can occur? Yes. They're set and random. The random encounters, though, you see the monsters coming, unless they surprise you. It's not like typical RPGs where suddenly you're thrown into a battle and they just came out of nowhere. They get spawned and then they wander around. Hey, Moody. Welcome. How are you doing? Moody says, does a surprise increase hit probability, damage, or both? If you start combat and you go in and attack the monster, no. It just gives you free attacks. However, there is a backstab / surprise attack that like rogues can get. That increases chance to hit and damage. But I don't think that's what you're talking about. I think you're talking about like surprising for a whole round.
I find these.
Now when monsters come in, if you get surprised, and if you're facing this way, for example, and let's say they came from behind, they're going to hit you from behind. That does give you them a bonus to hit. So they'll do double damage too if they hit you from behind. So it can be detrimental if they get you from behind. Okay, here we go. Here's another's. Now, if you see there's multiples, we can see it on the minimap. So I'm going to stand in this doorway like this
I kill them all.
to see if I can bottleneck them. If they're small sprites, 2 mace fit in here anyway, but we won't know until they get close enough. But you just get in the habit of trying to do this will help.
Taken care of.
Now, the last thing the bard did was play the instrument. So if I hit L, see it pulls it up like he's going to use it, and then we can just pick that, and it's going to target this. Alternatively, I could have hit N and swap through all the next targets.
Very well.
Check.
Do our run command and wait for them. This is a good example on why cursed items can really suck. Look how many free attacks I'm getting with ranged, you know, as the monsters come in. If I had cursed weapons equipped, I couldn't do that. So there's good and bad.
I find these.
The losing ranged attacks, especially in the beginning of the game, is a huge deal. Book of Stamina, okay. So, I'm going to give that to the priest.
Great.
Give her something to do with her water spell points. Pretty sure there's something else here. Sometimes you have to wander around back and forth a few times based on your skill. I may be wrong. It may be my mod I'm thinking of. If you walk back and forth a few times and you can't find anything, it's probably nothing there.
Our foe lurks beyond.
Okay, monsters coming, get in the doorway.
I wait.
5
Who
rats.
attacked
Okay,
first?
so now we got quite a few, but they're only level 1. We're gonna use the poet loot
Very well.
and do
Very well.
bless.
Taken care of.
Do an acid splash.
Okay.
Colorado says, when might you decide to use stronger levels of spells? As you become more skilled, the colors will start to turn green. That's when I would recommend it. If you try to cast spells that can backfire when you're like level 1, it's really bad. It can actually kill you outright if it backfired. He only has 8 hit points. So wait until you get more familiar with the game. I would say probably if you see dark green, then it's pretty safe to do. But if you don't see dark green, don't do it as a beginner. Unless you have no choice, like that bless spell there is yellow because his skill's so low, we have to do it. Now we put 2 to sleep. You see the little things above their heads? Those little icons are all the conditions. Or you can right click and you can see it. It says they're asleep. That's the sleep icon. So we're gonna do sleep again.
Very well.
That's all the bard's gonna be doing in the beginning most of the time is just sleep, sleep, sleep. Because we want to get his music up high. Where is it? Right here. It's 14. Instruments, as you get stronger instruments, they require a certain bard level and a certain music level. So we want to keep training that.
Check.
Fred says for new players, is it worth it to spend points on someone in mythology to have enemy stats, or points just better spent else? It's a good question. All the questions have been good, but before I answer that, let me see what my mythology is. If I have anyone with mythology. So the alchemist has good mythology to start with, so no, I would not put any points into it. If I did not have a character that I chose that had it, then yes, you might want to dump 5 points into it. But this will go up quickly over time as you see monsters. So don't put any more into it. If you pick the party that I chose here. Otherwise, yeah, it
Taken care of.
Very well.
Check.
get maybe 5 points in it.
Delightful.
Okay, so we got sword and range combat increase there. Nice. Yeah, Colorado, this is the starter party I would pick.
I find these.
You can go watch the video on demand if you want afterwards. I'm going to upload this to YouTube too, but I explain why I would pick all this as a starter. Again, it's not the only one by any means, but this is my opinion. This is what I would pick. You should be
Here.
close to level up. Yeah, it looks like 149 for the fighter. Alright, I happen to know this room's empty. No monsters. So we're gonna go in here. Rest. Read notes. Read all the notes and things. It'll help tell the story and all kinds of cool stuff. Now this ring's unidentified. If I equip it, there's a chance it'd be cursed. I know it's not, but you don't know that if it's the first time you play. You're not gonna be playing Iron Man, so go ahead and save the game before you equip it. See if it's cursed or not. The way you can see is equip it and then try to unequip it. If it unequips, it's not cursed. So we can see our base armor class goes up. So this is a ring of protection. It just gave us one evasion armor class. I'm gonna go ahead and put that on the fighter. This is up to 2 now. Fighter's gonna be the biggest tank, so we're giving him all the great armor. Eventually, we're gonna move this ranger back here. And the fighter is going to be the exclusive tank, but for now we're not doing that. Okay. Do you multi-class in a beginner playthrough? No, never. No, Wizardry 8's multi-classing is totally different than 6 and 7. 6 and 7, it makes your character super strong quickly. In 8, multi-classing does not work that way because it does not reset your main level. You see up here where it says levels earned by profession, that says 1. If I were to change to, let's say, a Valkyrie at level 2, it's going to say Fighter 1, Valkyrie 1. However, this is still level 2. So you still need the same amount of experience to get to level 3. You don't start over like in Wizardry 6 and 7. Totally different. So it does not give you an advantage at all to change classes in Wizardry 8. Even experts will hardly ever do that. The only reason why I would do it is if I find an item that's fantastic that only a certain class can use. Or I want to become a psionic to make myself mentally immune to the Soul Eater in the last level. Changed all your characters to psionic, and that guy can't do a darn thing to you. Colorado says, is there randomization to where some and what items one may find? Not on the map. So the ones that I'm finding here that are scattered, those are set. But in the treasure chests you open, that's random. And monster drops are random. So if you kill monsters, they have a chance to drop certain items. Never dared to try it, Nate. Yeah, it's not worth it. There's no reason why you don't want to do that. Wizardry 6 and 7, it does not level scale. So you can grind. The monsters don't get any harder in that area. In Wizardry 8, there's level grinding, or there's a level scaling to a certain extent per area. So some areas you may end up fighting level 30 monsters. Even the last area in the game, you can fight level 50 monsters. So you cannot level up high enough to out-level the monsters and make it easy. Some areas you can. Like here in the monastery, the highest level monster you may fight, I don't know what it is for sure. I'm guessing it's around level 13. You're probably not going to ever see a monster higher than that. Arnica Road, I think level 12 is the highest level monster. Ant Queen. So you can out-level, but the multi-classing screws you up with that because since you still need a bunch of experience, now you've kind of watered down the character. You've split the skills or split the training across different skills, and you're fighting harder monsters now, but you kind of have a watered down character that's not really great at anything, and it'll make your job a lot harder. playing on novice, it's not going to be as big of a deal. But once you start playing expert, if you really love the game that much, it makes it so hard.
Locked tight.
Yes.
Now, if you're picking a lock like this, turn backwards like I'm doing here, because even though this looks like it's paused, it's not. There's monsters wandering around right now. And as I'm trying to pick this,
Here.
Prepare.
they can come up from
Present.
behind
Here.
and attack you. Now, I found a poser cap. We're going to put that on. Let's just give it to the priest for now.
Present.
That gives us 10%. Pick locks. 10% is just barely good enough to pick this. As soon as we open it, we're going to spin around though. Like this.
Battle time. Let's
So that the
go.
monsters don't attack us from behind. Penguin says, do you recommend new players spoil themselves with a guide? I often see veteran players saying to mix potions, but that info isn't told anywhere in game or in the manual. It's up to you. It depends on what kind of a player you are, Penguin. I'm more of a purist where I like to kind of learn things on my own and experiment, and I don't mind failing. I like to fail a lot because I learned from that. But if you don't want to go through all that pain, then yeah, read guides. You'll probably get a bunch of opinions. Everybody's got an opinion, just like I'm giving you mine. Someone else may say, well, I wouldn't do that. So you may get confused if you read too many guides. You just have to be willing to accept, like, something I'm telling you could be wrong, something they're telling you could be wrong, and just be okay with it. But in general, the guides, yeah, will probably help make your life easier if you don't mind that.
Very well.
Okay, acid
Taken care
splash. We'll use our loot again.
Very well.
Check.
Now these have small sprites. Usually multiples can fit through, but this one just happened to be a blob and obtuse, and he blocked his friends from reaching us. That usually doesn't happen. Usually all three of them come out and hit us. No, that's why people are here right now. People are here watching this because they want tips. Otherwise, they wouldn't be here. Unless they just wanted to watch me play. But yeah, no problem.
And so we prevail. For
Yes,
now.
anyone that has the alchemy skill can mix potions and powders and stuff. You have to know what to mix. It's experimenting to figure that out. Colorado says, how many times have you played through this game? I just found out about this game probably, let's see, what year is it? I found this game probably 4 or 5 years ago. It came out in 2001, but didn't know anything about it. In that amount of time, I've probably beaten it. I would say somewhere between, I'd say about 15 times. And I failed. I only play Expert Iron Man, by the way. I have failed on Expert Iron Man probably 40 times. That's how many times I've failed. I do weird combos too, but that just tells you how hard this game is. Unless you're gonna try to always go for the best and make the best of everything, you're going to fail. Even people that have played the game 20 years, they're gonna lose, and it'll get boring if you just keep playing the same party, same type of thing. So my success rate of beating it on Expert Iron Man is probably about 30% is my guess. I'm just kind of guessing because I don't know that for sure, but I feel like I have failed more than I have completed it. every time I learn from it, which is why I love failing. Hey, Puffin Cloud, welcome to stream. How are you doing? You wish they made a new version of the Wizardry 8 type game? Yeah, I know. That'd be amazing, wouldn't it? I mean, that's why we do mods, you know? People have made mods.
Present.
Reforged.
Yes.
Okay, we're good to go. Have I beaten Wizards and Warriors? No, I have not. I've played it, but I have not completed it. I haven't looked at a guide. I like playing games blind. So I have not beaten that one. I've beaten Dungeon Lords. That was D.W. Bradley's
Here.
other game. I just recently beat that one. But I have not beaten Wizards and Warriors. Grunk says it's an important life lesson that you'll fail more than you succeed. Yeah, that's true. That's why I recommend acting like you're going to play this Iron Man. Because that's how you'll learn the most. But then don't be afraid to reload. If you do, you know, get killed or something, you don't want to start all over. I'm looking for another battle here just to get my fighter and bard leveled up. So we're kind of wandering around. Okay, I don't see any, so what we're going to do is go rest in one of the safe rooms. I'll show you a room that's safe to rest in. At least relatively safe. And that'll cause some random encounters to eventually spawn. And then the monsters usually stalk you outside the door. Hey, Dr. Doom, welcome to stream. How are you doing? And Mr. Spock's here. Welcome. How are you doing, Mr. Spock? This room right here. You'll rewatch later? Alright. Failure is only a fail if you didn't learn anything. Exactly, Rich. Totally agree. Hey, Millennial, welcome to stream. How are you? Just came in. Is this tutorial going to be on YouTube? Yes. Yep, start Wizardry 8 again. It'll be very helpful. Yeah, absolutely. I upload all my videos I stream to my YouTube channel. Ah, you're playing Baldur's Gate. Cool. I'm glad you're doing good. So we just keep camping here until we see some monsters through this gate. They will come eventually. Sometimes the game engine's kind of stubborn and it doesn't want to generate any, but it will eventually. Have to be patient. It may be slower because I'm playing on novice. I'm not sure about that. We'll try 5 more times, and if we still don't get one, then we'll walk around again. There's some that had to have spawned in there somewhere. They might just be wandering around. Hey, Melted Igloo, welcome. How are you doing? There we go. See? They're stalking us. They know we're here. They won't come forward because the door's there. So just open the door.
Battle time.
Start combat. Green slime, level 1, 13 hit points. Okay. Do our sleep.
Very well.
Taken care of.
L, remember I'm hitting the L command to make it faster.
Check.
Let's repeat our last actions. So this will be a level up for the fighter and bard.
Our will prevails. I'm getting better. I prosper with the will of destiny.
Now you can save this, but I highly recommend don't doing that. You'll see some experts do that to make their lives easier. They'll save it so that as their level doesn't increase, the monsters don't level scale. But you don't want to learn to play that way. You're not getting any better playing that way. So do your level up. Just get better at the game. That's my opinion. So we're going to do on the fighter strength, dexterity. We're just going to only do that on the fighter until he maxes those out. That's what you want to do. We can see his sword has gone up a little bit. It's at 14 now. Close combat has not gone up at all. Again, it's senses and intelligence. Drakons are dumb. So we're going to boost that. We're going to boost his sword. We're going to boost shield. Then the bard, we're doing intelligence and dexterity. And then he's our locks and traps, so let's do that. Let's boost music. This will go up on its own, but you don't want to do that only. Put points into it. And we're going to boost artifacts. He's going to be the main identifier, and if we find some cool magic items, he'll be able to use them probably. Scare spell points back. So everybody else is going to be pretty close. You can see that. Occasionally, as your artifacts goes up, what I would do is come in here, hit the question mark so it shows you only the question mark items, and right click. See if you can identify them yet. Still can't. Maybe go through the inventory. We know we got this. Can I right click and see what this is? No, not yet. I don't see anything else. So artifact's still not high enough. Yes, camping does cause enemy spawns. Yes. Usually keep everyone the same level, Melted. Yeah. What I mean is some people won't apply the level ups when they're in certain areas because they don't want to fight harder monsters.
You attack the first.
And I mean, it's a strategy, but I think you're cheating yourself on things you could learn by doing that.
Taken care
That's
of.
my opinion. So the loot works on a group. So we want to hit 3. We don't want to hit 1.
Very well.
Obviously, that's more economical.
Okay.
But as you can see, the biggest 2 tips I can give you right now is using the run command, keeping your back to the wall. Those 2 things are
Taken care of.
that's all you learn this whole stream. Just that's it. That's the most important.
How exquisite.
Priest level up.
Delightful.
Beware.
Alchemist.
My power grows stronger.
Alright, we got mythology. So priest, I am doing intelligence and piety. The whole way until they max it out. There's a book of light. I'm trying to think of who I want to give that to. Priests are terrible with fire spells until they get lightning. Lightning is amazing. It is a fantastic spell, but it's level 6, so you don't get it until much later in the game. So if you do light on the priest the whole time throughout the game, by the time it's high enough to get lightning, he can do amazing with it. So that's what I would recommend doing. We have enough spell points here. We don't want to... Make wounds is great, but it shares with these spells that we use all the time. So I'm not going to waste that. Charm. Maybe this is useful the first time you play. I wouldn't rule it out, but it's hard for me to say that because I know too much about the game now. This allows you to charm NPCs and stuff. Get mad at you. Alright, so we're going to do Divinity. We're going to do... I think I'm going to do throwing and divine magic. Let's see. Mr. Spock says, is weight an issue in this game? Yes. Encumbrance is a big deal. It's a little more manageable because there's party encumbrance. So stronger people can help carry the heavier loads automatically if you dump items into the party inventory. But there's so many items you'll find you get overloaded pretty easily. George says, harder monsters mean longer fights, thus more skill raise. Yes. Okay. What you need to focus on when you're playing this the first time is killing the enemy. Don't think about, well, I can cast this power level 3, but I'm only cast power level 1. That's what experts do. Don't do that. Play the game like you're trying to kill the enemy. Don't try to prolong fights. But yes, you can do things to lower your damage output. You could even heal the enemy. You can do stuff like that to make combat take a lot longer to train. Eventually you'll get to that point maybe where you want to do that, but beginners don't do that. Just play the game like you're going to die the next fight and just do the best you can and try to kill the enemy as quickly as possible. But if it is a long fight, yes, you will get more increases. Why you use the run command? You'll probably want to go back and watch the video on demand, Colorado. It's not that I don't want to tell you, but since we're almost 2 hours in and a lot of people have probably heard it, I don't want to repeat it. But it's very critical. It's super useful. Okay, let's see. So Alchemist, I'm going to do Intelligence. And for beginners, we're going to do Dexterity. We're not going to do Piety. We'll get Dexterity up first, then we'll flip back to Piety. Okay, let's see. We're going to get Sleep. Alchemists use a lot of air spells. So getting this going a little earlier is great. Plus the Bard. When you use a Bard instrument, you don't get to pick what power level it is. So they can fail a lot because the game will try to make it cast higher than what they should. So this gives you more control. So we'll get a Sleep. Then we'll have double crowd control. Let's do Air, Alchemy. And we're going to start on his Fire. The reason is because the next spell level, he's going to get Blinding Flash, which is an amazing spell. And so we want to get that going. Okay, we'll try to get...
Prepared.
We'll get the Ranger and Ninja up one more level, and then we'll go kill the slime. The noxious slimes. While I'm resting, I'll explain that to Colorado. So, the run command allows you to control the monsters, have them come toward you, and then you get to do all your attacks at once. So you can get them within range and all kinds of crazy stuff like that. It also allows you to control the order in which your party member goes. Because it starts at the top left, goes right, and then down. Basically, it undoes your real initiative.
This little dust-up will be no problem.
So, getting control is a huge deal in this game.
Very well.
Very well.
Okay, Alchemist. Let's have you do some sleep training.
Taken care of.
It will be done.
See, these are smaller. So, another one snuck in here. Look at the grid. We see that they're both going to hit the front. So, they're going to hit the fighter or the ranger. If I turn like this, those two can hit the whole party. Hit the one with the lowest hit points first. This one here, 7. Kill it. do some ranged attacks here. Okay.
Prepare.
Ranger. Oh, 5 experience. That's it. Oh, sure thing, Colorado. I figured I might as well explain why I'm just sitting here wasting time. You know what? I'm gonna just go for it. We're on novice. We should easily be able to kill that noxious lion. I would not do this on expert. Ah, here's a
See,
here it'll be.
This will be good practice.
We'll do the level up for the ranger.
I am going to become a master soon. You see.
Ninja's still not there because he's considered elite. They have the highest. Elites are bishops and ninjas. Hybrids are next. It's ranger, lord, samurai, valkyrie. Then you have the spellcasters. Then you have the non-casters, like fighters, rogues, bards, gadgeteers. Okay. We're doing dexterity and senses. The reason senses, eventually you're going to unlock a skill that can make your ranged weapons a lot more accurate. And that's really good for beginners. So I wouldn't worry about scouting. That's going to go up on its own. So what I'm going to do here on this is artifacts, ranged combat, and throwing. Just remember, throwing is for powders and stuff. It's not just using like thrown weapons. That's why I keep doing that. Alright, I'm going to rest in this corner. You don't normally want to do this, but there we go. And then we'll kill this noxious slime in here. Remember, we're going to pop around the corner.
Okay.
See where he's at. He's right there. He's in throwing range. So now you can decide, do I want to try to hit him from throwing range? Or do I want to get right next to him? Do I want to spend time running right next to him and then hitting him? He happens to shoot. So the closer you get, the more likely it is he will hit you with his shooting attack. The farther you stay back, he's a lot less likely to hit. Our only real attack spell right now is Acid Splash, which isn't that good in the beginning. Because of all that, I'm going to run forward. But I'm going to try to maximize this. See how he's red? He can see me. Turn to where he's white, where he can't see me. Go back into combat.
It will be done.
Acid Splash.
Taken care of.
We'll use the loot.
Very well.
We'll do a bless.
Very well.
Now we're ready to run. We get right next to him. We're close enough, so we don't need to move anymore. Someone may lose their turn here. We'll see.
Take this.
Only 2 characters got their turn. But hey, look at that. We got 12 free damage. Now I'm not running. I'm just going to let my guys go. If you do a run when you're in close combat, the monsters will hit you first. They get a first attack. So you don't want to do that run command when they're close enough to attack you.
Though it is pleasant to advance, true happiness comes.
We got pretty good training there. Okay, ninja. We're doing dexterity and strength. Okay, let's focus on throwing. Critical strike. Close combat. Now we can do some heal training. See how the ranger's injured? Let's have the alchemist do some training. If you click this, it means the game will cast multiple times until it either runs out of spell points or heals all the way up, using whichever is the darkest green. So it'll use power level 1 multiple times on this guy. So it only did it once, and that fully healed him. We got another noxious slime. Good kill. Dr. Doom says bad positioning was what wiped my party many times when I was first couple playthroughs. Yeah, exactly. Colorado says, could it be worth it to hide around a wall and let them come to you? Yes. Later on in the game, you're going to have spells that can hit area that blow up, like fireball and stuff. And yes, sometimes you will let them come right up to almost where combat would start. You start combat and just throw it around the corner. And you'll hit them all before they come around. You don't lose any movement that way. You don't lose any initiative. You can do it with Sonic Blast too. Sonic Blast, you can actually hits a group and you can cast it through walls. So, like, they could be locked in a room by themselves, and you can zap them with Sonic Blast. It's, in my opinion, the best spell in the game. You can do amazing stealth attacks with that thing. That's why my all Psionic run was a success. Because of that spell.
This will be good practice.
Okay, level 2. See, now they've leveled up with me. 'Cause that's what level I am. Now they're starting to increase their level.
Taken care of.
But look, hey, the priest now can cast Bless Green. It's no longer yellow.
Very well.
So that's sweet.
Very well. Okay.
Alright. There's a slime up here. I'm going to rest right here before I fight him. You got to be careful where you rest. It's just I know I can rest here. So now we're going to jump out and say, surprise!
Taken care of.
Very well.
Very well.
Now see, out of range, just move a tiny bit. Then we've maximized being able to hit with not using up as much movement. So 3 of our guys get to go. Give them lost their time.
Very well.
Now look at that, 1 hit drained half the alchemist hit points. If that was a mage, you probably would have died there. Mages are just... Let me go ahead and have them. Mages are not good for beginners.
Taken care of.
Neither are psionics. They're just too low in hit points.
We did it! I'm getting better.
Fighters already leveling up again. Look at that.
Delightful.
Beware.
Nice. Okay, we already know strength, dexterity on the fighter. Melted Igloo says, throwing an artifact for using thrown items. I never tried all that different kinds of dust. Yes. Artifact, use the artifact skill in general, but almost every powder is thrown. The exception is Cure Paralysis. Cure Paralysis powder uses your artifact skill. Alright, let's see. Fighter, we're doing shield, sword, close combat. Bard, we're doing intelligence. Intelligence and dexterity. You can see that controls the music. This, and artifacts. Priest, we're doing piety and intelligence. Now we get a 2nd level spell. You can see we have new ones showing up here. Hands down, get Guardian Angel. This is one of the best spells in the game. Especially when we do the single fighter strategy, having him up front. So we'll do Divinity. I'm trying to think of what skill I want to put this in. Let's start working on his throwing. And Earth. And then the Alchemist, Intelligence and Piety. Blinding Flash, hands down. Don't even look at the other spells. That's how good that spell is. We're going to do Fire, Alchemy, and Air. Okay, let me let my dog out real quick, guys. Take a quick. Get back in about 5 minutes. Superman, yeah, Superman's a good spell. Okay, everyone, I am back. It's probably get grainy on me here. Yeah, it did. Okay. So we got a Book of Light. And the Alchemist now has light.
Excellent.
You want to do adventure spells like this, cast them about every 2 minutes or so. Even if the effect's still going on. Try to cast at the highest power level, even if it fails. It is training that way, and it may increase your skills. There's a hard set time, I guess is the right way to say it. So like you can't just keep casting it. It waits literally like 2 minutes. If you cast too early, it resets the timer. You will not get training. So wait that 2 minutes, like I was saying.
Things for me.
Scroll the haste. This is a good example of the artifact skill being useful. So let's see. Yeah, 21 in the bard. And haste, power 3. He could probably use that. Ring of protection. See, we can finally identify it because the artifact on the bard's in it. Oh, gotta get some spell points back. This corner right here is really safe. Alright, time to... I guess we'll go outside. We'll kill these crabs first. And then we'll come back in. More bullet stones.
I find these.
And if there's items on the ground, if they're a set item that you can see, you do want to look at them, even if you're not going to pick it up, because it might train your artifact skill.
I don't like the looks of this.
Look, it's alive.
We'll start
This little
combat.
dust up will be no problem.
I'm going to show you Blinding Flash. Since I dumped those points, got his fire to 6, it's green now. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been green. This, you left click and you can pick where to move the target. It'll default by being on the ground. So it'll follow the ground. If it gets stuck like on the walls and stuff, sometimes you may accidentally position it behind there. You're like, oh, where'd it go? You can hit escape and get out. Turn back the way you want and do it again. Sometimes you have to do that. But we're going to end up retargeting this, as I always call it on my streams, when the monsters get closer. So it doesn't matter where I pick to cast this right now. I'm just going to click there. I'm going to retarget it. That's not where it's going to go. The priest is going to do a bless.
Very well.
We're going to... Can't use the loot. See how it's red? That means they're out of range. Let's see. Yeah, we're just going to do run. Run command.
Check.
I'll show you how to retarget. So they're done moving. So now it's our turn. If you come to an action that you had picked, you had to have picked it before you did the run command. Right click on the icon. So now I can retarget this. I can do a left click now and pick where I want it to go. And we can see all the green. All those are going to get selected. Left click. You see them on the mini map. They're all flashing. That means I got them all. Okay, so they're all going to be targeted.
Okay.
Everybody else, just shoot your ranged weapons at that one. Okay, so we blinded 4. One's unaffected. You can see the little blind icon on it. Blind is such a good condition because it makes the enemy run. They will run to get away. So you're getting free shots at them. Sometimes they'll run away from you. Sometimes they'll run right up towards you. They can't see, so they don't know where they're going. Then their evasion armor class becomes -5. So it gives you a 25% bonus chance to hit. Boom, just right off the bat. If you hit him with melee, and it's not a lashing weapon, you'll do double damage. Really, it's a double modifier. Because you can have multiple modifiers stacked. So yeah, I guess that's enough to tell you about that. So now we've controlled them. They're all going to start running except that one. So that really drastically decreases their chance to be able to inflict anything on me. We'll flip back to using sleep
Very
on them
well.
also. And then we'll do a guardian angel on the
Very
fighter.
well.
Okay.
And
Taken care
alchemist,
of.
you can just do SS.
Taken care of.
Melted Igloo says, so bishops are actually pretty good, I'm sure. The artifact skill, yes. Yeah, their artifact skill is good. So this one will be really easy to hit. Okay, now they're no longer blinded except maybe this one. Yeah, this one's still blind.
Very well.
And you can decide when you want to blind again.
Taken care of.
It's all about crowd control. Do another guardian angel on the
Very
ranger.
well.
Check.
So those two back there are still out of commission. Now this is tricky. If you look at the little mini map down here, it's hard to position both of these so they're in the front, but I think that is. I think they're both within those lines. Alright, so one way you can tell is you pick a person that has like melee range like this, right click and it'll say this current range. We're good. Okay, so these two are still sleeping, so we're just gonna do a straight attack on this one.
Check.
Run forward, these two are still asleep. Okay, now this one's awake.
Very well.
You'll see the bard's stamina, the yellow, has dropped tremendously. Playing musical instruments does that. That's, instead of using spell points, it uses stamina. So that's why he's so depleted. So sometimes you might want to restore it at some point.
Very well.
Do that. And we'll do more acid splash.
Taken care of. Taken care of.
Very well.
One left.
Taken care of.
Very well.
Very well.
Okay.
He didn't even reach us. Do you have extended range? I don't think so. He just didn't reach.
Secundus.
Look at all that training we got. Nice. You do a whole video just on bishops. Yeah,
I find these.
yeah, bishops are a lot harder to play. I would not recommend it for a beginner.
I find these.
Ninjas are easy to play. Bishops are hard to play. They're both really powerful. Oh, yeah. So we got a sling now. We can give that to the priest. Let's give her some stones. Thought I had more than that. So their loads are good. If the load was blue here, they'd be slightly overloaded. Let's see how they're all white up here. That's good. That's what we want. No, we don't want to equip an axe. We don't have anyone using axes, and most of the axes in the game aren't very good. There's some good late game ones that are random drops, but they're rare. That's why in my mods I added so many new items and stuff. and make things more balanced and give you more variety. It's been 2 minutes. Light. See, fire magic just went up by 1. Nice. Go kill the king crab.
Look, something come.
Okay, let's put him in the doorway.
A fight like this is simple.
I'm not gonna blind these because we don't need it. We're gonna save that.
Taken care of.
Very well.
Sometimes you want to save spells like that for, you know, if you're really in trouble.
Okay.
You're gonna get surrounded, for example. It'll cause the ones that get blinded to run from you and give you openings. That's why it can save your butt. Okay, looks good. So these are level 3. We're gonna get higher level on this one. So now they all lost their turn this next round.
It will be done.
Very well.
Taken care of.
Check. I am going to become a master soon. You see?
Okay, Ranger. We are doing senses and dexterity. Ranged combat. Throwing. And artifacts. You usually have a ranger because you want all the buffs. Igloo. Yeah, the problem with rangers though is, or bishops though, is they don't do well with anything really.
Taken care of.
We'll blind these around the corner. So we just blinded one, so now we're only gonna have to fight one at a time. But also, like Element Shield and Soul Shield, they each take a round to do it, so we only have one character casting everything. It's hard to get everything cast in time before you get killed by the monsters. If you're playing on Expert Iron Man.
Check.
So one advanced, one stumbled blindly.
Okay.
Get a few free shots at this one. Nice. Combat ended. This one's blind, so I can come right up to him like this. He didn't even know I was there.
Taken care of.
Although it is pleasant to advance.
Very well.
Now we can hit him and do double damage. See how it chose 2x, did double damage against him.
Our will prevails.
Wow.
Better.
Fighters.
I prosper with the
Fighter
will
and
of-
Bard leveled up to the next level right when the ninja did. So low on experience. Level 4. Sword, shield, close. Intelligence, dex on the Bard. Colorado says, does a difference between party level and enemy level have any advantage, disadvantage? And what I mean is level 2 Bard find it harder to put level 3 enemies to sleep despite the skill level? Yes, Yes, it is. For every level that goes above you, their magic resistance increases. And same for you. For every level you go below them, your magic resistance and effect resistance, when they hit you with things that have effects, your resistance goes down. So what makes it even worse is the highest you can get your resistances is 100. It's not a percent, but it'll tell you 100. Like, let's say your water's 100. When you play on expert, it automatically drops that by I don't know for sure because I can only speak based on experience. But on expert, it seems to drop that 100 down to about 70. Just no matter what. Even if you're fighting monsters that are lower level than you, it just seems to drop it to like 70%. If you're not talking about what level you're playing on, then if you're only comparing monster level to your level, then if let's say they're 10 levels higher than you and they cast a spell on you and you have like 100% fire resistance, it's a fireball. I feel like 10 levels makes your fire resistance drop from like 100% down to like 60. I mean, it drops it a lot. And same is true for you. If you're 10 levels higher than them and they have really high fire resistance, it drops theirs down to, close to 0. The weird thing is the monsters kind of cheat. The game kind of cheats because some of the enemies can have 150 or 200 resistance, but you can't. The highest yours goes is 100. So it's definitely a detriment against the player. That's why level scaling's really hard in Wizardry 8, mainly because of those resistances. Okay, lock and traps. And then ninja, dexterity and strength. Let's see, critical strike, throwing, close combat. Why am I going north? Rest. We're gonna start seeing other types of monsters too fairly soon. So not only does, the level go up on specific monsters that you've already seen, but it'll start spawning like harder in general. They're totally different types of monsters.
A battle? How exciting!
Okay.
Very well.
I think I'm gonna blind him.
Taken care of.
I'm actually not gonna do a run command here. The reason is he's within range. If I do run, he's gonna shoot me first. I'm hoping I get my blind off before he does.
Taken care
I don't know. We'll find out. Nope. He hit me first. This is where having low speed and senses is bad for you. Okay, he's blind and asleep. So now we can slam him.
Taken care of.
Our will prevails.
And we got a fire magic increase. Priest hasn't cast for a while. Get light going. Rest in here and then we'll go kill King Crab. What level are we? 3. Okay, if we get to level 4, I'll take on Gregor too. Gregor's kind of the boss of this area. I could probably kill him now, to be honest, but
Lock tight.
Ready.
so we're gonna blind him through around the corner.
Taken care
We're gonna
of.
try at least.
Very
Yep.
A
he's
fight like
blinded.
this is simple.
Taken
It's not
care
enough
of.
to chase him because he's gonna run.
Take it easy.
Nice. We could do it again. Now he has extended range. It doesn't say that because my mythology is too low. But he has extended range, so he can actually hit these as well. If I had higher mythology, I'd see that. So let's put a guardian angel on the bard.
very well.
Very well.
Take it easy.
That's who he attacked. He just missed.
Very well.
Do a double sleep.
Taken care of.
Very well.
Okay, he stumbled, so he just lost his turn. It's fantastic. Bard failed, hit the wrong note.
Taken care of.
And that did not result in a level up. We'll get one soon though. Let's close that off.
Things for me.
Another bow.
I find
And we get
these.
a crossbow now. Crossbows are better than bows in the beginning because quarrels do so much damage. I know I have some somewhere. There they are. Quarrels do 5 to 11. So that's 8 on average. Arrows only do 5 on average. Let's go ahead and rest, and then we'll fight the fish. That should give us enough experience to go kill Gregor. Get level up. You like the gadgeteer? You get the sonic lure gadget pretty early? Yeah. The hypnotic lure you're talking about? Gadgeteers are really bad for beginners though. In the beginning of the game, they're super weak. They're probably the worst class in the beginning of the game. Come on, fishes. I know you're in here somewhere. There you are. Okay, I don't have area of effect spell except the fighter is a Draken. So I haven't used the Draken breath yet. I'll show you that. So it's right here. Breathe.
Okay.
So she'll hit them with area. Ranger switch, ninja switch, bard sleep.
Very well.
Taken
Yes.
care of.
Very well.
Alright, let's see what happens.
This will be good practice.
There we go. Acid breath did some good damage. You can see how much it drained her stamina. You don't get any training using Dragon Breath. That's why I hardly
Taken
ever
care
do
of.
it. You're kind of wasting your training opportunities, which isn't good. Now these are going to be fast.
Taken care of.
So what I'm going to do is jump down into the water with them. You like the gadgets? Yeah, gadgets are cool. Dredge says if you multi-class for one level to use an item, then a level later you switch back and use the same class specific item. No. If it requires a certain class and not a certain skill, no, that won't work. But if it's a skill, then yes. I'm trying to give you an example. So there's some bard instruments that say you need level 3 bard and you need 20 music. As long as you get your bard level to 3 and then you switch, it'll work. But if it says something like a gadgeteer can only use this or equip it, but it doesn't have a level requirement on it, no, you'll lose that once you switch class. So it depends on if it requires a certain level and you reach that, or if it's the class itself. It probably didn't make much sense, but that's the only way I could try to explain it.
Okay.
Okay. Switch.
Taken care of.
Didn't like
There we go.
Beware.
Here's our level up on the casters. Did I answer your question? Okay, good, Rich. Yeah, there is a Guardian Angel gadget. That is correct. I'm gonna go ahead and get Divine Trap here. Mental, Divinity, and Alchemist. Intelligence and Dexterity. We're gonna get Cure Lesser Condition. That can be useful if you get blinded. And we'll do water and air. Alright guys, that's probably a good place to stop. I'll go ahead and get this resurrection powder. So powder, how many did we get? 3! Alright. Nice. Rest and save it here. So hopefully this was helpful. If you have any other questions, you can go over my Discord channel. Appreciate any kind of feedback. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And I'll see you next time.